This overview video is going to be about Stronghold of the Wood Giant Shaman. And there's the cover there. It's got some pretty cool art on it. This is by Thick Skull Adventures, and it's written by Stephen Newton again. He's the same guy that gave us Attack of the Frogs and Hunting of Larvick Island, a couple of videos that I've done as well. And of course this is another DCC video. Again, it's one of my favorite games that's out there. A lot of great adventures, and it's really good to get out some of the word about some of the community, some of the third-party stuff. So obviously this is going to be for judges only. Again, it's an adventure overview, and it should be watched by anybody that's possibly going to play it. Now, it is a 5th level adventure. It's for 4 to 6 characters, and it involves the Wood Giant. This is a giant that he's created. It's a pretty nasty enemy, obviously, as it's a very large, big British giant who makes its dwelling in woods and can smash you with big trees and stuff. So that is kind of the focal point of this adventure, is obviously, like the name says, the Wood Giant. Now, I want to get into some particulars about kind of how he wrote it and the physical makeup of the adventure. It's about a 30-page adventure. It's got a couple of good maps in it. It's got I would say a lower amount of art that I would hope for, but I understand. It's got only about six pieces of art, which is not a whole bunch, but what it gives is very serviceable. And how it makes up for that is it has very good descriptions. Any of the locales are described very well, very easy to understand, and very fluid. So that's very helpful. There's not a whole bunch of numbers, or this room is 20 by 40, or I really can't stand that stuff when it really gets heavy into the description category. But these are written very, very well and really set a visual picture in your mind to make up for that lack of art. There's one picture that is in there in particular, and it is of the Stronghold, and it's a kind of an isometric looking, kind of far away at the layout of the Stronghold of these wood giants, and I think it's a great, great piece. And it's a piece as a judge that you'll want to look at to really show your players and let them get kind of almost a bird's eye view of exactly what's going on in a more of a living environment. Coupled with the actual map that's in the back of the area, those are just very, very helpful. So one thing that Steven's done, which is pretty fun in the DCC game, is when you play a 0-level character, you have an occupation that you start off with. What he's done is he's added an occupation bonus into the adventure. So where you might have a something that has to deal with probably forestry or something like that, it'll give you a list of several of the occupations that'll get a bonus to a check whenever they're trying to find something out. And it's the same like that throughout the whole adventure. If you have an occupation, it may come into play in the adventure, and he spotlights it and gives you a bonus for having that occupation. So that's something I really, really like, and I hope that other DC adventures have that as well. Another thing he's done is he's given you a couple of author's notes throughout the adventure, which I think are genius. It lets him kind of get into your head what he was thinking of or how he ran it when he was doing play testing or writing it, what he was thinking about. And he shows you how he used what he wrote in actual live games. And that's very helpful, I think, as well, to get kind of his mindset. There's a couple of plot hooks to get you into the adventure. And what he did at the end of the plot hooks, he kind of told you how he used several of them together to run the adventure. And I thought that was genius, of course, as well. So again, this is about the Wood Giant, and this is obviously and he says it in the book, this is obviously an homage to Against the Giants, the old great classic AD&D first edition triple modules there that are highly, highly coveted by Mr. Gygax. And so this is kind of his homage to it. And he gives you a little thing in the back about that. So it's kind of nice to read his kind of connection to the adventure. So it uses also as well, just for DCC people out there, it uses a D22 it tells you about. And all that, it shows you how you can make that conversion with just using a D24, cutting out the 23 and the 24. Or some other dice that I would just cut out the 23 and the 24 and make it simple. Because these wood giants are nasty big beasts. They're going to try to hit you with pretty much what's the equivalent of a tree to hit you. And this is a 5th level adventure, so this is going to be some pretty big hits, creatures that are going to have to be shown a lot of respect because they're going to be deadly, especially with the DCC, how it kind of flows. But a couple missed rolls or some good rolls on the judge's part, and you're going to be having some smash heads, which will be detrimental, obviously, to the players. So the Wood Giants, just a little bit of backstory into the adventure. What you've got is, and that's the other thing too, is I think this adventure is pretty neat in the fact that you could just set this adventure up purely by just having the players uh, find the stronghold. I don't think you even really need some plot hooks. I think that once you show some stuff going on, and if you have characters of a certain amount of level, if they're 5th level, 6th level, I think 6th level would be pretty good for this adventure too. They come across this stronghold and they see these wood giants. I think, and they know that they're, they're raiders and killers of humanity and all the other small races. They may take it upon themselves to see what's going on inside here. So, plot hook or not, I think your players are going to kind of be like, let's go kick these guys' butts. So, real easy adventure just to throw into the middle of a campaign, I believe, in DCC, or really any other adventure if you want to kind of, cannibalize some of the stuff out of it. So the Wood Giants, they use the D22, hit hard. They make their lairs and their fort and stuff around wood. They have pretty much what are called Sasquatch kind of slaves or kind of henchmen goons that obviously have some sort of kindred spirit with them, and but they're easy to kind of break away if they need to from these Wood Giants. So what you've got is you've got a story of a Wood Giant who has pretty much he's a shaman and a leader over a group of wood giants. He has cursed out a god of hill giants, and in essence, he said that he was going to pretty much feed him to a terrible demon. I'm gonna try to say his name. I think it's the Darkalish. There's a couple of names in here that'll make you kind of, try to roll some of your own language rolls. But he curses out this other god and says he'll feed him to this demon. Well, this demon hears him, meets him alone, and pretty much kills him, flays his flesh from his body, and uses him as a kind of a draining system with these blood vampiric leeches to keep his nice new, now wood giant flesh suit nice and supple and moist, as he sits back, has taken control of these wood giants, and is just kind of lazily enjoying them fight and squabble amongst themselves. And the demon's obviously very powerful and plays a major part in the adventure, which is something that's I think really neat about it, is because I don't think if you think about maybe the name or giants, you may just think that at the end there'll be some big giant and that's the end of the adventure. Maybe they've kidnapped people, which is one of the plot hooks. But on top of that, you're adding this whole other element of this demon, and there's several other demonic creatures that are set within this adventure. One of those is almost looks almost like a succubus type creature who's chained up, and later on in the adventure she tries to play a wily game of trying to get the PCs to let her out of her chains. She's been chained in there by this Darkalish, the Darkalish. I've probably mastered it, but so yeah, the adventure shows you the outlining area of the stronghold. It's got the palisades and the bulwarks that are around it. It lets you know several ways how to get inside it. The giants kind of think of humanity as more like pests, so they really won't do too much until you all of a sudden show that you're a real threat to them. So it maybe allows you to get inside the place with them kind of with a glance or something, and maybe not really care too much. But then once you start up stuff, and then you're gonna bring it on. Outside, there's a couple of spotted places, locations. There's a wood pile that's got some problems with it. And again, there's some creatures that live in it, and again, some forestry type occupational players, they might see or know with a roll, they might know, oh, inside that wood may be this creature. So again, that's where that occupational thing comes in. There's a neat hole that's got a catfish troll in it. So in essence, you've got a troll that looks like a catfish. I think that's awesome. I can really visualize that. And that's another foe for the players to fight. And there are many other creatures in the adventure, wandering tables for outside of the stronghold, creatures that are inside, and things that you'll find within the stronghold that are not just wood giants. So you do get a good variety, especially towards the end of the adventure as well. So your players will go in and they'll meet many of the wood giants, run across them. More likely they're just going to come out straight out and attack them, is what I would believe. And all the wood giants, most of them have names, and there's a list in the back of names and where they're located, so that's helpful. And again, gives you a personality that you may be able to approach even a simple wood giant enemy. You may be able to give that wood giant a certain personality, having their name. there's a possibility that the PCs can understand some of their speech, and that might help divulge some of what's going on here with this demon that's taken care, that's taken over the body of this wood giant shaman. Because a lot of the wood giants, they don't understand what's up with him. He's been strange acting, and there's been a couple of wood giants missing. So there's some rumor mongering, obviously, amongst the wood giants. So some stealth and some language rolls and stuff might help to get more of the plot. And so what the players will do more likely is they're going to go over the walls, they're going to go inside. They're going to go inside the main building. They'll more likely fight some stuff. The wood giants may or may not be alerted. And then inside, they're going to open up several doors, different rooms, find out what's inside them, some nasty things. And the adventure does have some pretty cool, nasty, gruesome elements to it as well. The way that the wood giants destroy bodies, wear their skins or bones or stuff like that. So there's a lot of good decimation of flesh around this adventure. Come across the kind of demon succubus type creature. That's kind of what she reminds me of. And then what they're going to do is they're going to explore some more. There's some Gicasters. That's the creature that was in Attack of the Frogs. So that makes a return. Obviously one of Steven's favorite and one of mine as well. I really like that creature a lot. And so they're going to find deep below. There's a hidden passageway, and they'll find a bottom. Of course, there's going to be some sort of underground passageways where they're going to find what's the remains of this pretty much skinned wood giant shaman who's got these blood leeches, these vampiric leeches that are squeezing, sucking the blood out of his muscles. There's a and that blood transfers over to the demon that's done this to him, and that should be a nice big battle scene there with this disgusting blood-covered, fleshless monster. He's got a couple of goons with him, also suffering some sort of the same fate, as well as a wizard who's been terribly corrupted, a follower of this demon. So he's going to be there fighting as well. Outside, the demon's also got a kind of a demonic wolf along with the wolf pack that's out there in some pens. So again, a lot of variety there towards the end of the adventure. And then I think the big piece at the end that's going to be pretty neat for your players is they will be going into the shadow realm, the shadow plane, pretty much. There's a kind of an oily, dripping curtain that once you mess with it, it may have some detrimental effects to your players. But if they can get inside, they're going to find out that they're in a completely different place with different rules in the shadow plane. Some cool, really neat creatures to fight in there, some weird movement that your characters are going to have to adapt to. And then a neat kind of boss that's in there too. And so in my opinion, it's got several kind of boss encounters in it. They're going to get the item they need from there. It's going to be the blood of this demon that's in a vial. And they'll find out all they need throughout the adventure. What's exactly kind of going on with this blood vial. And then when they come back out of the plane, he knows that it's been taken. And then you're going to have an ensuing big battle at the end. Very very big battle, which it says in the adventure you might want to curb how it is and who the participants are on the bad guy's side, depending on how damaged the players are. So and then hopefully they'll make off with the vial. There's a couple of new creatures in the back, obviously. There's a couple of new magical items, such as the vial and a couple other things, the chains that are holding the demon. And overall, I think, then again, you're going to have the map in the back of the adventure. And this adventure also has some stuff that, because of the vial and something, maybe the demon, that people might have a grudge against what you've done, and you may see some of these nasty monsters in the future in your campaign if you want to use them. You've got kind of a bridge now to add them down the road. So, yeah, overall, I think that it's a very, very good adventure. If you like giants, obviously, to spotlight the giant, you can have a lot of fun with the personalities of giants, with doing crazy, silly voices with them, big, deep voices, and kind of acting stupid, maybe, to your players, and really ramping up your voice, trying to do different voices and stuff for them, and different personalities. So I think that's strong, in which every single encounter with a wood giant, you should be able to bring out a voice, change it up a little bit different, and add that role-playing element to each encounter, instead of just saying there's two wood giants and they're coming at you. I think you can animate them very well, coming towards you, and who are you? You can really get into the role-playing aspect of it. And then, of course, you're going to have demonic creatures in the end. The female demon is going to be fun to try to role play with your character. She's going to be kind of conniving. So I think that overall an adventure that could be done in probably several sessions, maybe 3 sessions. It really depends on how quick your players, how stealthy they are, how quick they get in there and get to what they need. But if they're very thorough, it can take quite a while, I believe. But some neat creatures, a neat place to go to with the Shadow Plane. Kind of change it up for your players. They may just think this is going to be a normal giant smash adventure, which it won't be towards the end. And instead they'll get a little bit of some more darker elements and forces that may come back to haunt them. So overall, seems like a fun adventure. Again, I think Steven's done. I see his improvement in every adventure that he does when it comes to especially the descriptions. And now I can see that he's branched out and given you more in his mind with kind of changing the rules, the D22, the occupational bonus, the author's notes. Those are very helpful, and more of that the better. And many times in the writing, he's very fun, where he'll make a joke or he'll have a play on something that's happening in the adventure. So very kind of lighthearted in that sense, but obviously very deadly, very powerful foes to fight. But a cool story, not too bogged down on a whole bunch of going-ons and backstory and blah 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 blah. It's kind of like a small little dungeon crawl with big creatures, obviously, and some neat nasties at the end. So yeah, kudos again to Steven. I think it's a fun adventure. Of course, I always would love to have more art. I know that's something for writing adventures, making products. Art is where the money really is. And so more of it is always better, but thank God that he's got such a good talent at describing the rooms, describing the locations, describing the creatures, that picture just instantly kind of got into my mind. I didn't have any real, there wasn't a moment where I was like, I really wish I could see what that looks like. I didn't need that really at all. And there is art in it. It's just, of course, greedy me. I always want more. So there it is. The Stronghold of the Wood Giant Shaman. That's from Thick Skull Adventures. And yeah, pretty cool. Thanks.